Okay, this is the first part of section 4.5. And section 4.5 is called Completing the Square. And the first part of this section, we're going to solve problems by using the square root property, which is similar to what we did yesterday. Okay, so here's the first problem on your worksheet, and instead of doing examples, I just picked 4 problems off of your worksheet that we're going to do together. First of all, how are you going to know that you can use the square root property? You can only use the square root property when you have a quadratic equation that is in the perfect square trinomial, and I'll show you what that means, equal to a constant. Okay, so a perfect square trinomial equal to a constant. All right, so here's number 1. So first it says solve each equation by using the square root property, round to the nearest hundredth if necessary. So the first thing is, here's how you determine whether something is a perfect square trinomial. When I factor this, okay, and when I factor this, I know on this one my signs are the same and they're minus, okay. I need factors of 9 that when I add them I get 18. Well, it has to be x minus 9 and x minus 9. Now here's the deal. When I factor this, I'm going to rewrite this as x minus 9 quantity squared equals 49. Now, the shortcut to figure out if this is a perfect square trinomial, and this is the shortcut that you will want to use instead of having to use your box to factor this. My first term has to be something squared. It was x. My second term has to be something squared. It was 9. Now when I multiply these two things together, I get 9x, and then I always double it. And when I double it, if I get my middle term, then it is a perfect square trinomial. And I can factor that easily by x. I always have this sign minus, and whatever the two things I squared, x was being squared and 9 was being squared. So x minus 9 quantity squared equals 49. That's the shortcut to factor a perfect square trinomial. And we'll do another one. You can use your box to do this, but it's just going to be a lot of extra work. All right. Now, this shortcut will only work for perfect square trinomials. So once I rewrite it, x minus 9 quantity squared equals 49. Now we're going to go back and solve this by taking the square root of both sides. So I have x minus 9 quantity squared. I'm going to take the square root of that equals the square root of 49. So when I take the square root of something already squared, I get x minus 9 equals. The square root of 49 we know is 7, but remember from yesterday, we're going to put plus or minus 7 as my answer. Okay, now I need to solve for x, so I need to add 9 to both sides. Now when I write this, I write x equals, I have 9 plus or minus 7. Now that means I'm going to have two answers. I have 9 plus 7, which is 16, and I have 9 minus 7, which is 2. Okay, so 16 and 2 are my answers. I could always plug these two answers back into x to see if they equal 49. Another way I could check my answer is to subtract 49 and set it equal to 0, graph it, and it should cross. At 16 and 9. Okay. Let's do another one. Okay, number 2. All right, number 2. First, let's make sure this is a perfect square trinomial. Is this something squared? Yes, x. Is this something squared? Yes, 10. When I multiply these two things together, I get 10x. But when I double that, so times 2, I should always get my middle term, and I do. So now here's the shortcut to write it as a perfect square trinomial. It's always this, which is x. It's always this sign, which is plus. Then it's always my last terms, which was 10 squared, and then I square the entire thing, equals 64. Now when I solve, I'm going to solve by taking the square root of both sides. So when I take the square root of something being squared, I get x plus 10. The square root of 64 is plus and minus 8. I'm solving for x, so I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. So x equals negative 10 plus and minus 8. So that means I have two answers. Negative 10 plus 8, which is negative 2, and negative 10 minus 8, which is negative 18. So again, I could check by plugging them both in, and they should equal 64, or set it equal to 0 and graph it, and it should cross at negative 2 and negative 18. Okay, that was number 2 off your worksheet. This is number 8 off of your worksheet. Okay, so let's check and make sure it's a perfect square trinomial. Is this something squared? Yes, it was 4x. Is this something squared? Yes, it was 3. When I multiply these two things together, I get 12x, and when I double it, I do get my middle term. So this is a perfect square trinomial. So I can use the shortcut to factor this. The shortcut is this term, 4x, this sign, which is plus, this term, which was 3. So it's 4x plus 3 quantity squared. I could use my box to factor this, set this equal to 0, use my box, but it's going to be a lot more work. So 4x plus 3 quantity squared equals 81. To solve this, I'm going to take the square root of both sides. Square root of something squared is that something. Square root of 81 is plus and minus 9. So now I'm going to solve for x. So I have to subtract 3 first. So I have 4x equals negative 3 plus or minus 9. Okay, so let's write my two problems down. I have 4x equals negative 3 plus 9. That would be my first one, which is 6. Or 4x equals negative 3 minus 9, which is negative 12. So I'm going to solve for x. X equals 6/4, or 3 over 2. Or if we put that in decimal form, that's 1.5. Divide by 4. X is equal to negative 3. That was number 8. Number 9. I think is number 9 is the next one. Yep. All right. Number 9. First, let's check and make sure it is a perfect square trinomial. Is this something squared? Yes, 10x. Is this something squared? Yes, 3. Multiply them together and I get 30x double it and I should get my middle term, and I do. So it is a perfect square trinomial, so the shortcut to factor that is this term, 10x, this sign, which is minus, this term that I had squared, which was 3. So to solve, I'm going to take the square root of both sides. So I have 10x minus 3 equals plus or minus 11. And now I'm going to solve by adding 3 to both sides. So 10x equals 3 plus 11, which is 14. And 10x equals 3 minus 11, which is negative 8. So divide by 10, divide by 10. X is equal to 14 over 10, or 7 over 5. Okay, or if I divided that out, did it tell us to divide it? Fourteen over 10, so that would be what, 1.4? So that's one answer. Okay, and then divide by 10, divide by 10. X is equal to, when I simplify that, that's negative 4/5. Or if I put that in my calculator, that's negative 0.8. Okay, let's do one more. I didn't type it up, but let's do number 12. Okay, I have 25x squared minus 30x plus 9 equals 96. So let's check and make sure it's a perfect square trinomial. Is this something squared? Yes, 5x. Is this something squared? Yes, 3. Multiply them together, and when I double it, I should get my middle term. So this is a perfect square trinomial. It would be 5x minus 3. To solve, I'm going to take the square root of both sides. So on this side, I have 5x minus 3. This side, I'm going to have to break 96 up because it's not a perfect square. So I know 2 will go into 96. 2 will go into 96 48 times. 48 I always think of as 8 times 6. 8 is 4 times 2. 6 is 3 times 2. 4 is 2 times 2. Bring that 2 down. Bring that 3 down. Bring that 2 down. So I'm looking for pairs. I have a pair of 2's here and a pair of 2's here. So I can bring out a 6. Remember, it's plus or minus. Not a 6. I have a pair of 2's and a pair of 2's. So that's 4. And then what do I have left over? A 2 and a 3, so that is 6. So now, okay, I'm going to add 3 to both sides. Now, on this one, I have 5x equals. I cannot add this 3 to this 4, okay, because this 4 is with this square root of 6. So here's how I write it. 3 plus or minus 4 times the square root of 6. I need to solve for x, so I need to divide 5 on both sides. So x equals 3 plus or minus 4 square root of 6 over 5. And that's what your answer will stay like. Okay, this is your answer. If these three numbers, my 3, my 4, my 5, if those would simplify, I could simplify them. But since they can't, I leave my answer just like that. Okay, that is the end. You're going to finish this worksheet. If you have any questions, let me know.